Hi, I'm Sean Krenkel. I am head of narrative games here at Netflix, and I'm joined today by Sam Warner, who's the game director at Night School, and legendary voice actor Troy Baker, who happens to play Ben in our new game. It's called Unhinged. So we're going to take a look at the game today. For those that don't know, it's a game that you play on your TV and you use your phone as a controller. So Sam's going to show us how that works.
Yep, it's super easy. It's easy to access just on Netflix, the app, or on browser. Right across the top, there's a Games tab. Head over there, and boom, there's Unhinged. And then I just press play, and we're in.
You got a phone call.
So I'll go ahead and answer the call by scanning in with my phone, and then we're playing.
I want to know what came first. Like, what was the first idea? Do you follow the thought literally, or do you go, here's a cool idea, how do we rewind the tape?
It's the latter. It was definitely
Really?
like, what's the germ of a way to interact in a space, and then what is the most intense use of that space? So in the beginning, we were like, let's do a flashlight game, right? Like that, we thought that input was really interesting. We started prototyping that for a while. After that got some traction, then we got to having the phone actually send audio back and forth thing. And those two were when we said, oh, there's something special here that is very scary and you are underpowered and have to be scrappy. Oh, better answer that.
Oh, yep, sorry, Claire's calling.
Okay.
What time is it? Claire, are you okay?
No, my power's out. Yours too?
You did not wake me up for this.
Of course I did. Go check for me. Huey wants to know too.
I think after the flashlight, we sort of fell into the like, well, what else is close to home? What's really familiar that you could do if we're going to ask you to hold a flashlight? And it's just it's kind of a magical thing to be able to talk to the characters in the game just with your phone.
Just keep moving. We'll figure it out. Oh shit. The ladder's broken. Shit! It's okay. You're okay. We'll find another way.
We obviously talked a lot about this when it was like our first get together was you guys distilling the story down to me and everything, but I don't think we really ever talked about how the story came to be. And I'm always interested like the tumbleweed of going from, okay, we want a flashlight game, obviously then that means it's gonna happen at night. We're obviously going to do these things. At what point do you start finding the different characters? Like how much of that was predicated on?
When we felt good about the home invasion concept, we did not have the characters yet. It was much more just about, I want to feel what this protagonist is feeling. And then we added characters to the general framework of the story to reflect aspects of Ava's life and aspects, obviously, of the player's life. So you've got a best friend, they're there to help you out. You've got a relationship you've been in that may be awkward to brush up against, people around you in your life that you don't want to necessarily see, but because of proximity, you have to. The weird neighbor, the weird person in the building, whatever. And we just sort of took these types of characters, these archetypical things from everybody's life and added them to it, and then made the story out of that. So it wasn't even a super clear story so much as a cast that would amplify what Ava is feeling. But it was very different than writing for, a film or a TV show where you're going, what's act 1, 2, and 3, and what's this character's arc? It was more like, what is the most frightening, funny, visceral version of beats that this character could go through, and who could we put in her life to turn those things up?
Oh, hey. While you're in there, grab my sweater.
And where?
Your room. I see you in there.
Claire, I'm not in my room.
I'm like 85% sure I saw someone standing in your bedroom.
So, Troy, are you a horror fan already?
I am not.
You're not? Okay, this
It's
is
so
great.
funny. I've done some horror. To me, it's one of the reasons why I like doing horror is because it makes me less afraid of it. Once I understand, it gives me like an escape route because I can be like, this was all just filming it. That's a bucket of blood. It's just Karo syrup. But for me, it was like, well, what are the night school guys doing making horror?
Yeah.
I was instantly compelled and intrigued at that point.
Hey, Ava, I was just about to call. You're on my list of residents who didn't evacuate. I got a message that the power's down. Are you okay?
No, dude, the stairs are padlocked. What the hell?
Stairs are what? Oh, that's crazy. What?
Yeah, no shit. With the power out, we're trapped. This isn't okay, dude.
All right, you just hold on. I'm about an hour or so out. I'm turning around now.
Okay, whatever. I'm gonna go check on Joyce.
Oh, good. Yeah, thanks. Bye.
When we finally got in the booth with you and we were kicking around like, okay, who is this Ben character? Like, what's he all about? How did you create that delta between when he's like, I'm gonna kill you with a knife, and that like, oh, I'm gonna be your friend? Like, was there a part of that you were really thinking about?
I think we authored it. I think that's what I'm typically drawn towards, are people who go less now over you, but more let's discuss this. Especially that first session where we get there, we may have recorded some lines. I think we finally recorded some dialogue, but it was more. I spent more time out of the booth in the studio with you guys than I did in the booth, because it was like, well, hold on a second, we haven't thought about this.
Right.
And I bring that up because that's a credit to you guys, because there's not a lot of studios that do that. Most are like, okay, that's great, you have ideas. We're on the clock, we're in execution phase, right? We're no longer in ideation. And this character changed a lot.
Dramatically over 2-3 sessions.
The idea of the character and the function of the character remained, but the model of it, the age of it changed. So for me, it was more about, we know what the character right now looks like from a functional, systemic standpoint, to now we've stood it up and we've kind of given him some flesh, but now that needs to be animated. Like, it needs to be lived in and breathed in. And that's where I think we as a team came up, we're like, what if he's kind of a little endearing? And what if he's incredibly unassuming? And this is a guy who, just as much as Ava is making this up as she goes, so is he. And his premeditated plan is just going to shit on every turn.
Hello?
Surprise.
This was a full day just for this one.
It was a full day.
Yes.
Well, and we tried things like you come out and you put your arm against the wall and you're like,
Yeah,
hey,
I had like
how's
this
it going?
kind of like George McFly, Crispin Glover moment.
Yes, there were more menacing versions, there was all of it. And when you did the surprise version, the whole stage, everybody just knew.
Yeah.
Like, everybody locked eyes and went,
That's it.
That was it.
It was 100% it. This is where I think you do a really good job too, and I love that we got it in the performance of that switch. You go from the like, Ben just wants to go on a date, to, oh no, this is very much a serial killer. You know, we're going to talk about death. Let's talk about death for a second.
Sure.
We talked a lot about whether we wanted to have fail states in the game at all. Because like previous games, there's not really fail states. You kind of always fail forward through the narrative. But we really wanted you to understand what the stakes were. And that's something that like only a game can really show you, is like, what happens if the killer catches the protagonist? Right. What am I really doing here? And so to be able to do the very physical kills, every one of them we talked through. How is this going to elevate the strangeness, but also just make you feel like, God, I don't want him to catch me.
By teasing you and showing you that every death is not generic, but is bespoke, kind of makes you want to go, well, what happens? Really? It's not just a one and done. I want to go back through and see if I can get all the kills.
Yes.
What are all my murders look like?
I mean, so one of the most fun things on this was, when you do die, every single death has its own version of the cops at the crime scene afterwards.
Yeah.
And so there's an entire story that plays out over the continue screen that a lot of people don't see if they're too good at playing games, but like, when you catch one of those deaths and you hear the cops actually talking about the specifics of the scene, like,
Wait,
have you
what?
heard any of this? You don't even know this because you're too good. Okay, so if you die, over that screen, you hear the cops on site later that night, and they're always saying something different.
I had no idea.
Yeah. It's a quirky little feature, yeah. Something that happens here too that I just think is hilarious is people get to this part of the game, and this is where Jason Hill's soundtrack just starts to really get weird.
I was just about to talk about
You were talking about that?
He's so good.
He just blah, 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 like all those weird voices. Everybody's like, who's singing? What's going on?
Yeah, the process of working with Jason was incredible because
So cool.
it was sort of like we would show him scenes or even just boards and give him a textural ask or a tonal ask, and then he would go away. And The first ideas that he came with that we really gravitated towards were using voices in the score in ways that you couldn't tell if it was like implying something was in your head, if it was implying is it diegetic and it's actually in the physical space. You know, we're so drawn to either orchestral stuff or analog synthy stuff, but it's like this other pocket that he found that is very certainly non-gamey, right? And it just
so
starts to
different.
play with your head. A lot of people out loud start going, who is that? Where's that coming
Well, he's
from?
also
And
like, these are not scenes,
right,
right? So you
right.
can't just score a scene. It has to be something that is inherently dynamic.
Yes.
We're kind of existing out of any space right now. Like, we're in our own little world. John Williams told George Lucas for Star Wars, he said, I'm not going to use piano. I'll use any other instrument, but the second I use a piano, that puts it on Earth. And so by doing those dissonant sounds and using that cacophony and making that an instrument,
Yeah.
you're putting this in a place that feels like it should be home, but it's not.
Right. There's a warmth, but the wrong warmth. It's
Yeah.
just like, yeah. So we're on the stage for these long days that get quite physical, and so we're moving on quite a large stage, and some of the stuff, you know, these death scenes get taxing for you and the actor who's being murked. You know, there's not really markers on the ground at one point, so it's time to reset. Troy's probably 35 feet from where he started, and he comes walking back over, and he's going to reset, and then the mocap director says, no, actually, you're actually over here. And Troy's just like, I don't think I am. And then he's like, no, I think you are. And then Troy's like, look at the mocap data. And they look, and it's like, no, Troy knew to the inch where you were standing after just rolling around and slitting somebody's throat 35 feet away. And there was nothing on the ground. How do you, as an actor, keep all of your surroundings in your head? How do you do that?
I think a lot of it's music to me. I don't have perfect pitch or anything, but I just kind of know how melody is supposed to go, and I know how the tempo is, and I know if it's right or not. If it's like, oh, it's too fast, it's too slow, which can be super annoying to people that are wanting to expand. Like I can let the concrete set around my feet very easily too. And there's a cadence to the scene. Like, you're not necessarily going faster or slower. You have to rehearse with that camera, and that you have to have this relationship with the camera as it's moving to make sure that you're not just surprising them, because they're like, dude, I'm trying to pull focus. There's like 5 people that are trying to make this scene happen, and so there becomes this tempo to the scene, and so that becomes, got it, snare hits here, crash, kick, guitar, and so if you start here, if you roll me back, I'm like, dude, you're measure 3 already. I need to come back 2 measures. So I mean, that's where it comes from. The time that I get to play a game is very precious.
Yes.
So if you can give me something that I can get done in an hour,
Dream.
you know what I mean? It's like, I can do that. And not only that, but like the litmus test that I always put this through is like, my wife is not a gamer. And so I'm like, what's the game that I can go here? And I've done that like 5 times in our entire relationship. And this is one where like, you could do this one, and you kind of gotta do this one. It's one that she's like super excited to do.
That's how I feel too. Like, I want everybody to try it, partially to go on the ride, but partially because they'll poke at the corners a little bit differently. And there's variability, there's agency that people have inside of this, but it's its own. Everybody gets to share the same water cooler stories afterwards. You know, it's got a little bit of both.
And that theory crafting, that like watch the TV show on a Sunday and come to school and talk about it on Monday, is really possible with something that has all this attention to detail and like a very propulsive focus on storytelling.
All right, I really want to thank Troy and Sam for joining me today. That was a ton of fun. If you want to check out Unhinged, you can play it on Netflix now.